I'm speaking honestly as a man. There's a difference between a man who's not perfect and a man who's simply not worth it. There's a difference between a man who simply has some shortcomings or may make a mistake and a man who is a mistake to even entertain. So if you've ever, matter of fact, I want to know, tell me down in the comments, have you ever dealt with a guy and it wasn't outright that he was just so horrible, but something wasn't right about dealing with him? It was some kind of gap. There was something missing in terms of you being able to feel safe in his presence, in terms of you being able to feel like, I'm with a man. I got a man. I'm in good hands. Like there was something missing with this guy, even if you couldn't pinpoint it. And maybe even you struggled with whether or not you had unrealistic expectations or you were expecting him, to just be perfect. You struggled with whether that was the case. Like, am I asking for too much? Am I wanting him to do too much? Am I looking for flaws? Am I thinking too much into it? But you could not even force yourself to fake or to feel like you were complete in that situation. Like you dealt with men who were outright horrible before. I'm straight up overt, malignant narcissists, abusers, disrespecting guys or whatever. But you like this guy right here, he don't fit into those categories, but something ain't right. Until you started thinking maybe you're the problem or your standards or what you desire or how you think. Maybe even feeling like you're an alien, like you're just like an outlier. Maybe like the kind of relationship I want don't even exist because he's the kind of guy that may suffice in other relationships, or he's the kind of guy I can't even say is outright a horrible person, but he just ain't cutting it for me. Let me know. Put I down in the chat if you've ever been in that situation. Because if so, you're going to want to watch this through to the end. I'm going to tell you something. Again, there's a difference between a man who is imperfect and a man who's simply not worth it. And what I notice is that because, and I can acknowledge this, there are a lot of girls, and I say girls affectionately, out here who want the guy that they're dating to measure up to what they see on Instagram and TikTok and, all of these facades or whatever. And that does exist. But don't think just because you're asking your man to do more than the bare minimum, then you're one of those women. Or don't think because he said to you, oh man, every time you ask me to do something, you acting like I'm supposed to be perfect. You acting like I'm supposed to read your mind. You acting like I can't do nothing wrong. You always, we're going to cut through all of that. Because again, just like there's a difference between the boys and the men, there's stuff that separate them. There's a difference between a good guy and an evolved man. Y'all have heard me talk about this before. Matter of fact, I did a whole masterclass on it, but that masterclass is down because I don't do masterclass. I don't keep masterclasses up for very long. So if you missed it, you just missed it. Next time, make sure you catch it for that very reason. But let me give y'all something. First off, let me see if I'm talking to anybody. Say, I feel like it seems impossible to find the right one. Exactly. And that's what it feels like. It feels like he's a good one, but not the right one. This is a good one, but not the right one. And then you start looking in the mirror at yourself saying, maybe I'm tripping. Am I passing up on my blessing? Am I passing up on, like, you ever been with a guy and like your friends is like, hold on, why you don't like him? Or your mama, whoever's like, why you don't like him? And you even like, something just ain't there for me. Not that you missing your ex, not that you just so bitter and cold-hearted you can't open up to nobody, but that ain't it. Anybody ever had that situation? I got this question from a sister after my last masterclass. Again, I don't keep these up for very long, but I'm going to put the link to this one, the encore, in case you missed it before it comes down. You can get access. You can register and get access to it. But she asked the question, like, how do I know if I'm just overthinking? How do I know if I'm just wanting too much from a man? And I'm going to tell y'all before I get into the 5 ways that you know that this man is evolved and not evolved, because there are certain things that an evolved man just does not lack. And if you are a growth-oriented woman, even if he's not perfectly aligned on every single box that you need to have checked, an evolved man is more than likely able to be compatible with you over time. There's very few instances where a truly evolved man cannot fulfill your needs, even if you guys have completely different tastes, interests, life experiences, etc. But I told her, I said, hey, look, the baseline is this. The baseline is this. You're going to notice with an evolved man that you don't have to tell him things that you know deep down he should already know. He may not know some of your specific love language. He may not know some very specific things, but when you're dealing with an evolved man, or you're dealing with a man and you wonder, am I asking for too much? You're not asking for too much. If you're only asking at minimum that you not have to explain to him, an adult at his big old age, should already know. So outright disrespect, outright neglect, inconsistency. These are things that as a woman, you should not be having to train a man on how to understand about you. Big holidays, birthdays, Valentine's Day, potential anniversaries, if you got that deep into it with them. These are things that you should not have to tell a man, hey, I need you to put a little bit more oomph into it, a little bit more effort. You know, you ain't got to go break the bank, but I need to see some energy. So I need to see something. You texting, you calling, and you don't get a response back for 12 hours, 24 hours. Yeah, I'm being specific. 48 hours. That ain't something you should have to tell this man or train this man on at all. He on Instagram, he on whatever. And he's still engaging just like he was whenever before y'all even came across each other. He just straight up just throwing thirst out at different pictures. It's clearly throwing a lot of sexual energy out there. The woman is showing everything. Areolas, ovaries all over the place. There's certain things you should not have to tell a man. And here's the thing, because they're like relationships are rarely so black and white. Some areas are, a lot of them aren't. A lot of guys will leverage that against you. And then they make it like it's an argument. They'll turn every time that you bring up a concern to them into an argument, blame you for the argument, and now you feel discouraged with even coming to them with anything else. But let me tell you something. One thing that an evolved man does not lack is self-awareness. If he lacks self-awareness, if you're trying to tell him, it's obvious, it's plain as day to you. But to him, he's oblivious. It's almost like he's trying to stay in this delusion about himself. You know, one thing about me, I'm straightforward, but he don't communicate. He's passive aggressive. You feel like you're pulling teeth to get him to tell you what's wrong with him or why he did something or where he was at or how he would like things to be done or whatever it is. And he sit there in his own delusion. I'm straightforward. You don't say it. I'm going to keep it real. But you done caught this man in lie after lie after lie. First off, if he lying like that, if he living outside of integrity, he ain't an evolved man either. But if you ever dealt with the dude, it's like, hey, yeah, I'm a great dad. It's like, bro, your children's mom hasn't gotten child support from you in 6 months. You barely even talk to them, which I don't even know why you would want to deal with a guy like that anyway. But if you're dealing with a guy and he lacks self-awareness, he has, like, as you bring things to his attention, he just, the most absurd reasoning behind it. And it's not just gaslighting. It's not just avoiding accountability. You're like, dude, you're really dumb to yourself. You're dumb to yourself. No, I'm not about to start at ground zero with telling you about things that you already do. You know me, I keep a tidy home, man. I'm big on cleanliness. Brother, you wearing the same drawers you've been wearing the last 4 days straight. You just keep flipping them inside and out. Go over to his house, it's messy. His car is messy. Now I'm about structure. That's the kind of man I am. I'm just big on orderly structure. I'm a masculine man. But he loses control of his emotions. His whole life has consisted of different situations he's gotten himself into because he lost control of his emotions. I'm a masculine man. I need a feminine woman. That's what I need. Dude, you feminine. Like, you know, so if you've ever I'm giving y'all something so you can make it tangible. Like, I want anything that I say, I want you to be able to bring this home with you. If you're dealing with this type of guy, he is not an evolved man. And by expecting him to be an evolved man, it's going to feel like you're doing too much, you're asking too much, when in reality, you're asking for what you need from the wrong man. It's going to feel like you're asking for too much. It's going to feel like you're trying to operate on this higher frequency. He's going to tell you that you're asking for too much. Get frustrated with you. I'm here to confirm with you. I'm here to validate the things that you've asked of him in a sense that that's just the wrong direction. You're just looking for it from the wrong place. You're going fishing in the desert. You need to go over here to the ocean or at least a lake, because that ain't it. Second thing, an evolved man does not lack is consistent effort. Consistent effort. Matter of fact, I'm gonna make this 2A and 2B. Consistent effort and investment without having to be asked. Why do I say that? Does that mean that this guy can have no flaws? No. Again, we're discerning between the imperfect rather, should I say, a man who's just imperfect and a man who's not worth it. A man who's imperfect, he may not get it right. He may not guess correctly. He may not get you the right gift, the thoughtful gift. He thought you like white chocolate. Really, you like Skittles, but he was trying to be thoughtful and getting you a gift that something sweet on the way home because it's that time of month. He want to get you something like that, but that's effort. He may not say the exact words. His poetry may be bad as he tries to speak words of affirmation and write you a poem, but the effort gonna be there. He may get the words. He may not even be able to spell good, but he will write you a love letter, handwritten love note, because you said you like that. That effort is there. And what you're going to see from an evolved man is consistent effort. He ain't going to get everything right now. Again, I'm not telling you go out here, look for a man that's just Fabio and from some romance novel. But what you're not going to have to ask this man to do is act like he even cares. When you get to the point where you're asking a man to even act like he cares, pretend he even cares, you're asking for the bare minimum. And you deserve so much more than that. It's frustrating, it's exhausting, it's depleting, it's time wasting. If you're asking a man to do things, because I know you ain't saying the exact words of act like you care, but if you're trying to basically feed this man lines, in a sense, you're feeding this man, you're giving him a play-by-play, step-by-step of everything you need, no. That tells me that the man ain't even putting forth effort. Effort will get it wrong 1 or 2 times. After that, genuine effort is going to start executing. Genuine effort is going to show fruits. Even the Bible says you tell a tree by the fruit that it bears. Not the fruit it want to bear, not the fruit it talk about bearing, not the fruit it said it used to once upon a time back in the long distant whatever beared, but you tell a tree by the fruit that it bears. Genuine effort, again, won't execute perfectly, but after 1 or 2 times, especially for something he don't necessarily, he shouldn't just already knowing as an adult male, but you need this to be done this type of way, you're going to start seeing, you're not going to keep running to the exact same issue over and over again. Put I down in the chat if you ever been in a relationship where you were telling the guy what you needed, and a year later, you were saying the exact same thing. 2 years later, it's like you were a broken record. You still asking for the exact same thing. Either he never did it at all, or he did it for a little while and stopped. Put I down in the chat, because I want y'all to tell me and describe for those who never been there before how that felt to be in that relationship. More than likely, you ended up detaching yourself. More than likely, you ended up edging toward the door, mentally checking out, feeling so exhausted and consumed with frustration that you couldn't even access the attraction for that man anymore. Okay, some of y'all have been there before. And see, what happens is with that slow erosion of attraction comes a slow erosion of respect, of connection. Like you get to a point where you can't even force it. And because it's so covert, it's so it's so underhanded. It feels like, man, maybe I'm thinking too much into it. Maybe I'm wanting too much. Maybe I haven't explained myself well enough. Maybe I'm not giving enough grace. Maybe that's just not his strong suit. No, you're not dealing with an evolved man. With consistent effort, especially if he gets it wrong once, the effort looks like, hold on, I got to try something different. He gets it wrong 2, 3 times. Hold on, I need support. I need to go read something, watch something that gives me the exact details on how to execute this thing. Again, anything more than 4 times, honestly, and I know I'm talking long-term relationship. If he mess up 4 times on something you told him you need, and it's only been 2 months, 6 months, but if it's been a couple of years, whatever it is, maybe you need him to operate in the bedroom a certain way. Maybe you need more romance. Maybe you need more foreplay. Maybe you need more communication. Maybe you need whatever it is. After that, he's gonna take it upon himself. Hold on, wait. I need you to hold me accountable for every step of the way so I can get this right, because I'm tired of getting this wrong. True effort, true investment looks like that consistently. Another thing that an evolved man does not lack is compassion. You see, innately as men, we have an aggressive ability about us. Doesn't mean violent, doesn't mean intimidating, but there's an aggression, there's an assertive factor to the masculine man. So as we come out as little boys, that's why little boys want to, they want to use their might, but again, evolve. That means it's developed. That means it's been cultivated with intentionality for how we want to live our life or who we want to live our life with. Compassion comes in. We're able to be compassionate and empathetic without being weak or soft or spineless. So if he lacks compassion, he has not crossed that hump. He hasn't gotten over that yet, where he's able to be upset with you, where he's able to be disappointed or stressed out because of life is just going on, how it's going on. He has the capacity, if he is evolved, he has the capacity to be there while still having compassion with you. Maybe you do talk to him crazy. Let's say you do. And let's say you did wrong. And you need to at some point account for that and apologize for that. An evolved man will still handle you with compassion, with care, softly, gently, because you never stop being a flower. Just because you did something wrong don't mean you stop being a woman. Don't mean he's allowed to stop being a man. If you ever deal with a guy and the way that he handles things is to get aggressive with his tone with you, no. He's supposed to get aggressive with other men that mean you bad, that mean him harm. That's what the aggression is. Or in the bedroom, whenever it's pleasure. Y'all get what I'm saying? But definitely not in conflict. Definitely not when you're not your best self. Definitely not whenever you need somebody to lean on. You should never feel any level of intimidation or like he done puffed his chest up at you. If you ever get that man lacks compassion. He doesn't have the ability to manage his own emotions enough to protect yours, your feelings. Which leads me to the next way that you know this man is not evolved, because something evolved men don't lack is lack of self-regulation. I'm not saying every man got this. We talking evolved men, because as a woman, you've grown, you've invested, you've read the books, you're listening to the podcast, you're here on the live chat or watching this in replay. You going to my master classes, you tried out this person's resources. You're really trying to get there, right? The more that you do, and the more experiences in your own life that you learn from, you grow from, and mistakes you stop repeating, the more you rise to the top, like cream of the crop, literally like cream of the crop. So an evolved man is a man who's done the exact same thing. And as cream of the crop, as an evolved man, he has self-regulation. He has the ability to feel a fire going on inside, but said, I got to contain that. Because if it gets out, it's going to burn up everything that I care about. If it gets out, it's going to register to my woman that I'm not safe for her to bring her issues to me. If it gets out, it could have me using words I shouldn't use. It could have me giving body language that would intimidate. And that's never my motion. Let's go beyond just how he resolves conflict with you. If that man, anytime he has a conflict with another man, has to jump off into violence, no regulation of his emotions. If that man is impulsive every time y'all get into it, he got to run out the house. No level of regulation. If that man disciplines his children and there's no love there, yes, you can tell a lot about a man based on how he disciplines his children. He stops teaching. He stops mentoring. He stops the protective element of his tone and his vocabulary is removed and it's replaced with all the feelings that he got and he's upset. He has no regulation. You see, again, I'm not talking to every man. I'm talking about a very specific group of men. Because within this group, even the differences of interest and all that stuff, it will not separate you from being able to be truly fulfilled in this relationship. Feeling like, my goodness, this is what I was waiting for. I knew this existed. That's what happens whenever you get with an evolved man. And one more thing an evolved man does not lack. And I really don't even have to say this one, but I'm going to say it anyway. He never, ever, ever lacks respect. And what is respect? I'm going to put it simply, just like I said in the beginning. It's basically what I wouldn't want done to me, I'm not going to do to you. That's respect in a nutshell. He never lacks that as the cornerstone of every decision that he makes. Is he perfect? No. But if he don't want it done to him, if he would cut up, if he would break down, if he would cry, if he would get angry, he's not going to do it to you. With an evolved man, you never get the feeling like, man, if I did that to you, you would trip out. But you got so much problem with me. You never get that feeling. Put I down in the chat if you've ever had a guy shame you, insult you, blame you, etc., act like the sky was falling because you did or said something. But you could recall multiple instances where he did the exact same thing. Not even that you was trying to pull a him on him, but it just happened like that. And he got all in his feelings for something he's done multiple times. And he's done it recently. But here he is acting like you're the worst person in the world. Put I down in the chat if you've ever been there. And you wasn't even doing it on purpose, probably. Some of y'all do it on purpose, so let's keep it real. Okay, some of y'all putting I. And here's the thing. That whole guilt trip, that okie doke, don't do it to me, but I've done it to you, and I'm gonna continue doing it to you. That's one of the red flags that man will eventually end you up in a trap that typically empaths get caught in. Because as an empath, if a man is effective enough, manipulative enough to bring forth his anger, his hurt about how you did him, you may forget the logic of the situation until afterwards. A lot of y'all, you get in these situations with a man, he's telling you something that he wants to be done better, or that he feel like you did wrong, or something that hurt him, and it don't hit you till after the conversation. Like, hold on, the very thing that he's talking about, he's done. And it was cool when he did it. It wasn't a problem when he did it. If you've ever had a situation, more than likely, again, you're an empath because you lead with your heart. See, your logic would have already caught it right then and there. But if stuff don't hit you till afterwards, that you already done apologized or been accountable or been considerate of how he felt, if it don't hit you till way after the fact, like, hold on, he did the exact same thing. He's been doing the same thing. Or he's doing it again, and you get reminded that he's been doing it before that time, more than likely you're an empath. Again, that's one of the red flags. That man is eventually going to lead you into a trap. And there's not just one trap that empaths fall in that eventually erodes your self-esteem, erodes your peace, erodes your belief that even good men exist, or that a good man for you exists. There's 7 total traps. I already went in depth on that on my masterclass, the 7 traps empaths must never ignore. So if you are an empath, or you identify as an empath, or you think you might be an empath, click the link that you see down here at the bottom, or maybe at the top, I don't know, depending on where you're watching it. YouTube is at the top, Facebook is down here at the bottom. Click that link, register, and watch that right after we get done here. Go ahead and watch that so you can get a hold of it before it comes down. It's an absolutely free masterclass that breaks down the traps for those of you who are empaths. Because that's the group of women who have a target on their back these days. Why is it empaths? Because we're dealing with a group of men these days who were not raised, but rather coddled for the most part. And I hate to say this, but it is what it is. Because a lot of guys didn't have that positive role model, male role model. I'm not talking about literally didn't have their dad. There's a lot of us who didn't, but didn't have even a positive male role model. There are unfortunately a lot of us who have had moms, not mine, thank God, but have had moms who tried to supplement, who tried to compensate for the fact that male role model was not there. But of course, as a woman, you're going to do the best you can. But if you're dealing with a young boy coming into manhood, it's easy to miss because he needs a certain level of masculine energy, masculine correction, masculine role modeling in order to fully come into his own. He can be a good guy now, don't get me wrong. Single moms can raise good men. But in terms of him being his full potential, and in terms of him having his masculine core intact as he goes on and becomes a leader and protector of his own family, there are a lot of guys who, instead of getting that, they got coddled all the way through manhood. And now what are they looking for? A woman who's also going to coddle them. A woman who's going to go over and beyond when they won't do the bare minimum. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for a woman who, instead of holding them accountable, is going to think first with her heart. And her heart is going to be so soft. It's going to be so big. It's going to be so empathetic, that it's going to give way more grace, way more chances than what that man deserves. And that's the kind of woman these days that have a target on their back. You see, for all the women that got high standards, high self-esteem, they cut off good dudes like this, they heal like Wolverine and they move on. Those men are honestly intimidated by those types of women. Men like, oh, wait, hold on. But you got a lot of men who have targets on the empath's back because they feel like, all right, that's easier prey and that's more familiar to what my mom was whenever she coddled me. And there's 7 ways that empaths get caught up in traps. I've seen it over and over again. And it's sad that nobody's really talking about it. But again, I went in depth on my masterclass. I broke that down. So I'm not going to break it down here. Again, if you haven't gotten access yet, before it comes down, get access by hitting that link or in the caption description. It's actually, if you're on YouTube, it's in the channel description. Moral of the story is this. If you feel like you're asking too much from a man, and again, you're asking for things that you would gladly give, you're asking for things that as an adult, he should at least have the competence to understand that he needs to be able to provide before he even gets into a relationship. You're not asking for too much. You're just asking for it from the wrong man. The only thing you're doing wrong at this point is staying too long. But those are just my thoughts. I'm your internet big brother looking out for you per usual. Free game. You know, that's what I got for you. And all I ask that you do is pay it forward by hitting the share button. I don't charge you nothing, but I do charge you the responsibility of sharing this truth. If you believe in the truth and you feel like you've heard it here, all I ask is that you be a vessel for it to share to somebody else on your timeline by hitting that share button. And again, if you are an empath, do not miss this masterclass before it comes down. So many people missed the last one and they got upset, but it's not coming back up. This one, once it goes down, is gone for good. Hit that link, register, watch that, another 45, something like that minutes, me going straight in. And it's free or it's at the top. I'll let y'all be good, man. Peace.